was, because I used to have to prise it out of her later, you know, come on, tell me this, tell me that. And why didn't you know, why didn't you ever say anything? And she just said, well, because I had to leave you lot to make up your own mind. You know, there was no point in me trying to influence you, because if you do that, she always thought if she did that, you would drive us towards
But although she didn't, like, slag him off in front of you, did she big him up in front of you? Did she go, oh, no, he wasn't?
No.
Or did she just not talk about him?
Just not talk about him
See,
at
I
all.
made the mistake
never said
of,
anything.
I didn't tell the boys everything, but I actually protected him in some respects a bit too well. So as they got older, all of a sudden, he absolutely was on this pedestal, and I think I was kind of... I did get to a point where I thought, I need to tell them just a little snippet here of actually what did happen, you know, because... I'd built it up so much that it was like he hadn't done anything wrong. And then I thought,
the bad guy.
maybe I'm the bad guy now,
Yeah.
And I wasn't Jackie Brambles.
No, I
honestly,
know you weren't. Oh, I think we all know the
same thing,
yes. Well, Max and Tanya, get your acts together. There's a little girl at stake. We'll take a short break, but when we return, we'll be catching up with actor Todd Carty in an exclusive chat about those health scare headlines. Back soon. Our final guest has been making headlines lately when he dramatically collapsed on stage during the middle of a performance of his latest play, The Business of Murder. It was initially feared that he'd suffered a heart attack, but here to set the record straight, please welcome Todd Carty.
How you doing?
All right.
You never change and you never age.
Well, surgery has a lot to be answered for these days.
And you don't look like a man who's just had a heart attack.
Well, thank God, if I had a heart attack, I wouldn't be here in your company today. I did have a funny turn, as the actress said to the Bishop. I did collapse on stage, but it wasn't a heart attack. You know, it's like on tour, you work very hard, and I built up an ear infection, and when you're on tour, I forgot all my medication. So I remember it was about, I only had 10 minutes to go, you know, which was unfortunate, but I remember yanking my ear, you know, when it really hurt you and it started to inflame, and then all of a sudden, 10 minutes, the floor started to open up, my head went down.
You lose your balance with the
You lose your balance and all that kind of business, and I tried to hold on, so I was basically fainting for 10 minutes. I wanted to get round to the sofa where I was supposed to be in 10 minutes. And I was just coming out with all gibberish, and Sally Ann, who I work with, said we do that every night anyway, so it didn't make any difference to me. But,
Were you just kind of overacting in a way?
Overacting or underacting, and not really making any sense, and sort of not really getting the eye line or the focus of... So they knew something was wrong.
Were you worried, though?
It was in front of loads. I like the show to go on.
No, but did you know it was due to your ear infection?
No, I didn't know, but I knew that was inflamed, and I thought that might have, you know, accelerated it.
So, Todd, where did the heart attack thing come from, then? Was that just a media thing?
That was media. I think the only thing... My agent spoke to the press, and they said, I can assure you it's not a heart attack, it's not a heart attack, it's not a heart attack. The next day, it's a heart attack. So, you know, the wonderful press sometimes.
But I bet that worried a lot of your friends and family.
Well, it did even more so, and that accelerated it even more. But I suppose to be fair to them, if I'm in an audience here, and I lie down, and I black out, and the old famous thing, ladies and gentlemen, the show can't continue, pull in the tabs, and is there a doctor in the house? You know, the last thing I want to do was a Tommy Cooper, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
God rest his soul. So they may have thought it and interpreted it that way. So you can't blame the journalist for that completely. But then, of course, you know, the phone has been blowing off the hook, so to speak. And,
was there oddly a silver lining in that? You must have realised how many friends and people you had, and did you have loads of people?
I was so touched by, you know, ex-colleagues I've seen for 20 years. My wife's girlfriends have moved to India. We're watching it on News 24, and they rang from there. So, but I saw a bit of it online, and if you ever want to see your own epitaph, I know what it's like now. So, you know, it's really weird. You just see your face and the journalist is talking to your agent about it. So, please God, that doesn't happen for quite a few years yet. But no, it was an ear infection. I'm fine.
When did you get back on stage, then?
Luckily, I've got 2 weeks off. So, ironically, no shows have to be cancelled except the one that evening. But I'm back on Monday in Lichfield. So,
and it's called, what's the play called?
The Business of Murder.
Business of Murder.
What's it about?
Oh, I love a murder mystery.
It's a murder. I'm playing I play a hard-nosed cop, 70s-style cop, a bit like Jack Regan type thing, I suppose. And it's a murder mystery between 3 people, so we've got about 500 lines each, just to keep you happy. And God, we've got another 4 dates, and they're all split up. I think we're in Richmond at the beginning of May, and then I think we go on to Worthing, and in between that we're in Chelmsford and Eastbourne, I remembered. I remember. But no, I'm loving it. The stage acting is absolutely fantastic. It's completely different.
It's flexing different muscles, is it, than it would be for, like, all the TV characters that we've known you from, EastEnders and The Bill
for such a long time, you know. So I thought, am I going to like this? You go through your first night, you know, but you get a good bond with your actors and... oh, I love it.
The first night's a bit scary, though, isn't it, when you haven't done it for a while and you stand there thinking, I have voluntarily put myself in this situation.
Especially with only 3 of them on there.
Yeah, exactly. Really, so you've really got to be on the ball completely with each other. But then actors do that every time at a stage play. And why am I putting myself through this again? But you do it because you love it, and I've been doing it since I was a nipper, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's been your life, hasn't it? And we all got to know you through Grange Hill, sort of initially. And how did you feel when you heard that was being taken off after, is it 30 years?
30 years, exactly, which is quite depressing and frightening, really, where all the time goes. But I sort of knew. Last year I went back to play Uncle Tucker.
Oh, no.
And, yes, I did. And I've got a nephew at the school, so I did that, and there were serious rumours going around that this was going to be the last one. So, quite aptly, I was in the first one 30 years ago, and the last one, you know, 30 years later.
Do you think it's sad, Todd, that
I think
there's not an audience for it so much anymore?
But it's a reflection of the time, doesn't it? We have multi-channel media and all that kind of business. And I think if it were to show what happens in comprehensive schools now, it would have to be shown at 1 o'clock in the morning, never mind after the
Well, we've got Waterloo Road as well, though, haven't we, of course?
Yes, my Waterloo Road.
Of course, absolutely so. But
just hitting it a little bit harder, maybe.
But doing, hit a little bit harder. But doing that, the acting, and I've also gone behind the camera as well and did a bit of directing for The Other Side. I did something for Doctors. I know it's The Other Side, so sorry.
It's all right.
Sorry.
Did you, Todd?
I did it last year, yeah, and I got the call a couple of weeks back. Do I want to go back again in May? So as soon as I finish in The Business of Murder in May, I'll have a couple of days off and then back up to direct again, and I loved it. And if I'm lucky and my mates at the British Youth Film Association can get their money together, which I think they will, I'll be directing my first children's feature film in the summer.
Good for you.
The diary's pretty full, so I just want to keep fit.
Outside of work, we were talking about this, if you considered yourself to have an average life, an ordinary life outside of acting?
I watched some of the show earlier. I mean, I've got 2 children, 3 dogs, and a wife-to-be for the last 15 years. We still haven't got married yet, but we'll get around to it one of these days. So I suppose I'm pretty 2.4-ish, you know, so,
So you think it's possible to have an ordinary, average life even though you're working in show business?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, if I was a 9 to 5 and I was working around the corner, then fine. But, you know, as Angela said earlier, as an actor,
just don't know where you're going to be.
You don't know where you're going to be, whether it be film, theatre, or whatever side of the camera you want to be. But
so you're 85% average.
Well, 85% average.
That's not bad, is it?
Average,
But your
normal.
wife's not in the business.
Well, she's a child actress, but
did she?
I think she would like to. But I mean, we've got a production company. We'll hope to make her first couple of short films.
Well, listen, we're just happy that you're well and healthy and came here to set the record straight. And best of luck with The Business of Murder. As you said, Lichfield, March the 3rd. It's back on the road, isn't it? Thank you very much, Todd Carty.